You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Common sense, comedy, and freedom. You found the defenders of American exceptionalism on the Lanterns Radio Network.
Hello, everybody. Ooh, just my mic turned up louder than I thought I was going to. You're listening to Defenders of American Exceptionalism on the Lanterns Radio Network. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Happy weekend. Happy Easter.
Happy April Fools.
So the question now becomes, is it really Easter?
I don't know. Is that a joke?
I don't know. It's one of those, like, and I've seen.
See, I can make too many jokes on the day itself.
I know.
About,
I was gonna say there's a lot of theology jokes I've seen passed around, and it's like, Jesus has died, and Satan's like, ha ha, he's dead, and you see Jesus pop out of the tomb and go, ha ha, April Fools, and that's the joke.
Yeah,
that's just a little. It's a little corny, I think.
Well,
I technically already did.
Yeah, but we shouldn't do that.
We shouldn't do that.
We shouldn't do that again.
But no, happy Easter to all of y'all. Hopefully y'all are being safe. Most people are not working tomorrow or the weekend, and so hopefully having a good Easter. Let's see. We've got a great show planned this evening. First off, we are live on Facebook.
Yes.
You can find us at Defenders of American Exceptionalism, which is DOAE Show on Facebook, and at DOAE Show on Twitter. Patreon.com/DOAE Show. YouTube at DOAE Show. I feel like there's one I'm missing.
Lanterns.buzz.
Yeah, that's defenders.lanterns.buzz. You can find us there. We are also on. You can find us on iHeartRadio at Defenders of American Exceptionalism. We're
Apples,
on
iTunes,
the SoundCloud, the Twitters, the
Spreakers,
the Google Plays,
the everything.
Yeah, pretty much. If you can find an audio. Or something like that, then
we're there.
We're there.
It's there.
We're like a bad case of crabs. Just pretty much everywhere.
I really didn't think you were going to go that way.
I hadn't intended it to. Technically, my brain had three different options. It was crabs, poison ivy, and hemorrhoids, and
you chose crabs.
Literally, it was like a lottery, and all of a sudden, it's like, okay, time to spit out something. And as it went, it went ta-ta, and crabs were it. So we're going to be crabs today.
Crabs in a bucket.
Crabs in a bucket.
Speaking of crabs in a bucket. Anyway, we have a great show for you tonight.
It is. It is going to be good. It is going to be
off
fun.
The chain.
It's off the hizzy.
It is free range, if you would.
This is irritating. This just shows the world that we're in today. That we actually have to make laws that are
that tell people that it's okay
to be normal, or I say normal, to do the things that we all did as kids. Apparently, Utah has become the first state legislature to legalize, air quotes, something that should be a natural part of childhood. And that would be playing outside without the consent of adult supervision.
Without constant.
Oh, constant. I'm sorry.
Constant.
And apparently the ability to read is another thing they haven't passed.
Not passed that law.
No, we haven't gotten there yet.
Have that.
But yeah, so basically without somebody being outside hovering, you mean they've technically by this stance have officially banned
helicopter parents.
Helicopter parents, exactly.
Yes, and
exactly.
I'm still trying to ban that in my house.
I can't. It's
not happening.
Go outside and leave me alone. The further away you go, the better.
If I can see you through the window, we're
exactly.
good.
If I can see you, we're fine. If I can hear you, we're fine. You better be able to hear me. If you can't hear me, you've gone too far. Come back.
Exactly. And how do you know that you can't hear me? Because I've yelled at you 10 times now.
Yeah, and now I'm following you out into the yard. I'm angry. That's where it goes. The law called the Free Range Kids Bill, which doesn't that just sound... That sounds like a kid's meal, doesn't it?
Free range chicken?
I feel like you're at the Ponderosa and you're getting ready to sit down, and I want, my kid wants the Free Range Kids Bill.
Can I get the free range kids meal?
You want fries with that?
No. Onion rings.
I'm sorry, how old are you? You don't get to have onion rings. You only get to have onion rings if you're 12 and over.
Then I want the free range kids meal with onion rings.
But yes, the law called the Free Range Kids Bill makes it clear that parents in Utah can allow their children to play outside in nearby parks, ride their bikes, and even walk a couple of blocks by themselves without being charged with child neglect, which is sad to say that that's the world we live in.
Yes, actually, it is the world we live in. We have had these cases, which is why this law has been put into effect. Utah has seen a couple of these where people have been charged with neglecting their children because they let their kids go play outside by themselves.
Yeah, there was one, and I'm not sure if it was actually in Utah, but one of the ones that stuck out was the kid actually was playing outside in his own backyard, and the parent wasn't there, wasn't there.
The parent was home.
But yeah, the kid was in his own backyard.
Yeah,
and the parent was home.
And by the way, it was a fenced backyard.
Yes. And they were like, well, no, you can't go outside. You can't do that. And the parents, and it just shows that we're at a point where you can't trust people. It's not necessarily that. You have to really be wary of people who are around you and what you do, because stuff that normal people, common sense, God-fearing, intelligent human beings, the stuff that we take for granted, for a best way to describe it, everyone else kind of blows a gasket over and goes, oh no, you let your kid run outside and play without you watching? Well, what happens if he gets a boo-boo?
Then he gets a boo-boo, and he gets back up, and then he brushes it off with his hand.
Get up, you little girl. Quit whining and crying.
I do tell that to my girls.
Yeah, which is funny because you have girls. That's the ironic part, is quit being a little girl. And it's like, well.
Quit crying. It's fine.
No, I tell my boys straight in their face. I'm like, stop being a little girl.
Yeah.
I was like, you want to wear a dress? No. Well, then.
Stop it.
And
when they say yes, what do you do? Maybe you should stop asking that question.
Well, no, because we've never made it that far.
Maybe you should stop.
Well, because here's the drill: is the one time one of them was trying to be a smart aleck and actually said that, I said, okay, when we're going to go walk around in public, and the minute I realized I was like seriously going to get it.
No.
I'm calling my sister up to get a dress for my niece. Excuse me, you got something you could wear? We're going to the park. Didn't like that after a while, so
that's called child abuse.
And it's called child abuse. See, that's what I'm saying. Normal people call it, or other people call it child abuse. I call it rearing.
That's right.
It's called rearing. The law doesn't render the existing abuse and neglect laws toothless. Those laws, legislatures say, were intended to protect children, but are now being, I can't read it now because it got blocked.
Sorry.
being used in ways that do not anticipate to punish parents for the behavior that is not exactly abusive or neglectful, which is true. I mean, you shouldn't be getting neglect or getting in trouble for neglect or a child abuse for literally just letting your kid go out and be a kid. We've stopped doing that. We've gotten to a point, and I'm guilty myself. I have 3 boys. Trust me, 3 boys are very wound up, balls of energy, and I catch myself doing it. You have to calm down. You have to breathe. You have to stop doing that. Be quiet. Blah blah. And they're just little boys. You can't help that. But we've tried to control it and change them so much. That's why the air quotes cases of ADHD and all this stuff. We have to pump them full of all these medications to turn around and get them to be not quite so nuts.
Well, you also have there's this weird thing. So in Sweden, by the way, funny thing going on. In Sweden, they're actually taking their kids, they're separating them out, boys and girls, and they're forcing the girls to act like boys.
Oh, that's
forcing the boys to act like girls.
That's going to go well.
This is like 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds.
That's going to go well. That's not going to cause any problems at all.
Yeah, and just so you guys, that's what's happening in Sweden. That's gonna come here
At some point or another. That will be
here.
If it and they already have its own ways of doing it. It's just we're not letting kids be kids. And I'm not saying that you need to let them rambunctiously run around a store unsupervised, and you need to let them tear up. They need to learn the boundaries.
That's outside, guys. You gotta let them play outside.
And inside the house, obviously, you teach them to be, have manners, and you teach them things. But kids are still kids. You let them be kids.
Yes.
And we're not doing that. That's the problem. No. Is we're not doing that. Lance, you are amazing. Just so you know. Tweeting at us, it's so much fun. Sometimes we get derailed, and it's Twitter, our good friend Lance. I'm trying to do the voice, and I'm laughing too hard.
No, you can.
I reckon you like some fried taters. Mm-hmm. That's be a picture of. Yeah, you figure it out. Sling Blade.
Yeah. You'll love it.
He's my hero.
It's good times.
I'm gonna grow up and be just like him.
I can't even go that deep.
It's something a sad commentary. Though this is a law and needs to never be written. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Are you trying to read this?
I tried to read the article in Sling Blade. That's how we roll.
I don't think that works.
We're trying real hard.
I really.
Yeah, don't try it.
Yeah,
that's how we do it.
I can't do that. I just can't.
I can't drink coffee after dark.
Why?
Because it makes me poop.
Oh, okay.
That was
actually Sling Blade.
That was actually Sling Blade too. I'm gonna go home and watch that.
That's pretty bad.
Anyway,
tangents, man.
Keys, jingling keys. But no, it really is. It bothers me to no end that we have to actually sit and make legislation like this, because if we don't, I mean, we're literally people. We need to realize this. We're splitting hairs. Mm-hmm. Literally, it can't be understood. The nuance is literally dying.
Yes,
there's no such thing anymore. It's you have to be literal and precise, and if you don't watch what you say, then you didn't say I needed to pick. You just said pick it up. You didn't say I needed to put it away.
And
it's
yet
that kind
everything is relative.
I know.
How can you be logical and direct when everything is relative?
It doesn't.
It's all based on how you feel. So if it's based on how you feel, how can you be logical? How can you be straightforward? How can you go through?
Feel like it's straightforward and logical,
but it's not.
Yeah, but it is to me.
I feel like a circle it has 4 sides, but
technically it does.
No, it has 0 sides.
No.
Actually, it has 1 side. It's a circle.
Well, it has.
It's a continuous side.
Technically, it has 2 sides. It has 2 sides. A circle has 2 sides.
It's 2-dimensional.
Even if it's a 3-dimensional.
That's a sphere.
Yeah, even a sphere, it has 2 sides, an inside and an outside.
Mm-hmm.
That's.
You're a dork. You know what? On that one, I'm going to call it a little early.
Are we calling it early? Really? Really?
I'm calling it early.
The corny jokes, we have to end it early?
Yeah, I'm done.
No, come on.
No, I'm done with that.
It's true, because the other segment we got is going to be a rather longer one. So
yeah.
We've got a lot going into that one. Yes, Bradley, I'm going to go major pain on them. Oh, see, now it's going to be a running thing now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Ricky from Banyan Hill. Do you like money? I do. Do you like freedom? I do too. You like freedom and money? All right, this is getting old. You're listening to Defenders of American Exceptionalism on the Lanterns Radio Network. We will be right back. Do not go anywhere at all.
Never.
We'll know where. We'll know.
We know.
I'm watching. See, they think we're not paying attention. We got you. Stop hitting me. I know what I'm doing.
And we're back.
We are back. You're listening to Defenders of American Exceptionalism on the Lanterns Radio Network. I was trying to respond back on
Look,
Facebook.
I can respond.
I know, but I'm responding back.
Directly?
Yes.
He's doing a direct response.
I am. That's because that's how I roll. Live on the show. I'm
Live
direct
on the
responding.
show.
See, and this is the joy of being this. If you interact with us, we will interact with you live.
And speaking of, Wendy, you set the bar way too low.
Yes, say your expectations, bless your heart. I mean, we appreciate it.
you.
You're very sweet, but best show ever. I think
I don't know.
somebody's expectations are very, very low. I'd hate to see the other shows that you listen to. Then, if this is the best, I would hate to see. It's like holy smoke. But thank you. You're very sweet, and we appreciate it.
We appreciate that. Yes,
This kind
so
of stuff
much.
is what makes us do it. It's like, yay, we're special.
Best
you
show
like
ever.
us. You really like us.
So lovely.
We are live on Facebook. You're Defenders of American Exceptionalism on Facebook, which is DOAE Show. Twitter at DOAE Show. Patreon.com/DOAE Show. Again,
YouTube.
iTunes, iHeartRadio,
Spreaker, SoundCloud,
SoundCloud, the Google Play,
Podcast Republic,
Periscope. We don't mention that hardly near enough. We are also live on Periscope.
which goes through Twitter.
Well, yeah, but not everybody pays attention. If some people I've seen, you have to do both. It's a weird little thing. So,
Dylan speaks fluently in 80s and 90s movies references. Normally, mine is music, but
which is a
I'm
weird
glad,
combination.
I'm glad that's a winner. I'm glad it's a winner. Speaking of winners, so we have a litany of information on
a
schools.
lot. This is going to
Different
kind of
states.
be something that we've noticed.
It's a trend.
It's not a good trend, but it's starting to slightly sweep. At least it's crossed the country already, and I'm afraid it's going to become worse.
So you guys remember when West Virginia had that teachers strike, and it was like 2.5 weeks long or something?
Yeah, it was like a little blip. All the rest of the news that was going on, and I can't remember what was going on back then, but it was a little blip, and then
It was gone.
It was kind of,
But it was still going on. It was like 2 weeks.
It was going on for 2 weeks, and it was always like the last thing. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't, and God, I wish I remember what was going on, the major thing going on at that point. It might have been Russia or some other
stupid stuff.
but it was some lawn thing, and it was all this stuff, and this is going on, this is going on.
Oh, and
by the way, 2 minutes before the show, it's, and by the way, West Virginia is arguing over, the teachers are arguing about wanting more money.
Right.
And
So
that was it.
guess what, guys? Oklahoma now has the same problem. Here's this is from the Blaze. This is and here's the headline. Oklahoma lawmakers approve tax increases for raises, but teachers still plan to strike.
Nice. And that was all not nice, obviously.
Obviously not nice.
Yeah,
Not nice.
Oklahoma lawmakers are desperately trying to avoid a statewide teacher strike, but appear to be coming up short with a Monday deadline looming, says Vox.
So here's the thing. Oklahoma, their state senate passed a bill on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That bill would generate about $447 million in revenue, quote unquote revenue, for the state government by using about 3 cents extra per gallon on tax per gallon of gas tax, and increases 6 cents for diesel, and then a $1 increase on cigarettes.
Okay.
So they're going to raise the price of gas and cigarettes to pay for this, and this will generate $447 million.
Okay.
Here's the thing. What they're trying to do, the teacher union has asked for an average pay raise of $10,000 per teacher. Per teacher.
Yeah,
in
'cause
the state.
That's legitimate, right? That's fair,
that's legit.
right? That's
legit. And the state said, well, we can't really raise those funds. We don't have those funds. We're going to have to raise taxes on something to pay for this. Now, they did propose a bill that also added a $5 per night tax on hotels and motel guests, but they removed that, and apparently that would have given them the whole $10,000 raise. Here's what they're saying. They're coming out with the bill that they proposed. This raise, what it would give them is $6,000 a teacher.
That's not bad. I wish I could get a
$6,000 raise in a year
I wish I could get a $6,000 raise in a year.
per teacher.
Yeah. That's
over the course of the next 3 years.
That look, for me, this is just me talking.
Yeah.
That is my current rate. That's almost 4 months extra pay.
Right.
If I've done my math right in my brain, that's 4 extra months of pay for me just at the 6,000 mark. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
And they're going to turn around and poo-poo that because it's not a full 10?
Yeah, exactly. They're poo-pooing it because it's not a full 10. So here's what they're doing. They're going to strike anyway. So basically, you're going to have an entire state of whoever is in the Oklahoma Educational Educations Association. Those teachers are all going to strike.
This is so stupid.
And every single one of them is going to do the same thing that they did in West Virginia.
Stupid.
And I can't remember what happened in West Virginia. I believe it petered out after a while because people got pissed. I got to go back and look, but I can't remember exactly what happened, but it wasn't good for either side.
It's the problem I have with it, and this goes back to the unions, okay? Unions had a place.
But they never had a place in the public arena. They only had a place
in the private
arena because you cannot put a union and threaten the civilian populace. That's what they're doing. They're actually holding the populace ransom.
Well, and you can't do that because, thank you to the Constitution, every child is entitled to an education.
Right. And
so how is it?
How can't get an education?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They're not willing to teach anymore.
So but you're violating the Constitution.
Right.
That's theoretically a violation of federal law. You cannot do that.
Right.
And yet they're allowed to.
Yes, because they're part of a union, and the union rules apparently supersede our Constitution because it's the right of assembly.
It's not assembly. Assembly is you get together and you complain and bitch about something. That's assembly. Or you talk about cooking or whatever. That's assembly. Not sitting around here and going, well, we want 10 grand a month or we want 10 grand extra. Well, we're only going to give you 6. Well,
yeah.
Thumbs to you, you know?
Yeah.
Sure. This chaps my tail to no end. Because, I have, and, good on, anybody who's a teacher. And in the public school arena, I do not fault any of you for doing that. It's to put up with other people's kids. I can't stand my kids half the time, and you want to put up with a whole bunch of other people's kids. Now you deserve a medal.
Yes, and yes, Bradley, it is called extortion.
It is. It's by every stretch of the imagination, and that's the key. That's the problem. Is if you work in the public schools, you're, for all intents and purposes, a public servant.
Exactly.
You work for me.
You work for the government.
You have no right. And if you don't, and I'm not saying that they do need to be paid more. They need to be paid fair. It needs to be
fair.
Fair, and it needs to be merit-based.
Yeah, it's not only fair, and it should not only be fair and merit-based, but at the same point in time, there is only a set amount of money that the government can give.
Exactly.
Because the government can't tax the entire populace just to pay you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but if you're that good, then maybe you might want to consider going to work for a private school,
which will pay you more.
A
whole lot more.
And I've got friends that I've known who are teachers, and I would say something like that, and they get mad at me for that. And I'm like, well, but you didn't get into the career. You should not have gotten into the career because you're wanting to make millions and millions of dollars. It's not for the money.
Yeah.
Supposedly, people do not go into
teaching for the money. No, they don't. They're not supposed to.
Supposedly, they go in because they love children and they care and they want to help the next generation. That's right. That's what they're there for.
Yes.
So then don't come at me, after 10 years and, whining and bitching and complaining that, I want 10 grand. It's not... No. I want 10 grand. Give me 10 grand extra a year.
I'd love 10 grand extra.
Give me your 6, you whiny little girl. You don't want the 6? Give me the 6.
I'll take the 6.
Stop taking the 6 from me, and we'll be all right.
They need what, Paul? They need 20,000 more in Congress.
Oh, I think it's from
4.
Yeah, but I'm thinking it was a typo. It should be from.
Oh, maybe.
I could be. I
don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so we've got that, and that's one thing.
Speaking of schools.
Speaking of schools funding and everything else, apparently it's not cool to donate money to your old alma mater.
Well, and this is, I was trying to just now decide on which way I wanted to roll with this. It's funny because a second ago, they're complaining about not having enough money.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, this particular story we're getting ready to go into.
This school just got a ton of money.
A ton of money.
From a private individual.
And they're not happy.
They're not happy with it.
They're really actually, and they're making a giant stink over something that
is stupid.
It's really dumb.
Yeah. It's incredibly dumb.
I think.
It's dumb.
Yeah, in Pennsylvania, the school board there has announced that the local high school will be renamed to recognize a $25 million donation from a billionaire investor. And parents aren't happy
about it.
No. They're slamming the Blackstone Group CEO Steven Schwartzman for being, quote, vain, end quote, and a, quote, embarrassment, end quote. So basically, Schwartzman went to this particular high school, and after having got out, and obviously is
making his
he's very well made now. He's got money, very wealthy and whatnot. He decided he wanted to kick money back to his high school, which is great. I mean, that's well, he gives them $25 million, and the school board has decided that they want to, unanimously, by the way, change the name of Abington Senior High School to Abington Schwartzman High School.
Yeah.
Okay. Despite the criticism over the name change, the board is fully supporting Schwartzman, praising his generosity to his former high school. Quote, there's a discussion back and forth, but Mr. Schwartzman is not the kind of individual to draw a line in the sand and make demands, end quote. Superintendent Amy Schill told the CBS News.
Basically, this guy didn't ask for his name to be put on the building.
Yeah.
The school board said,
hey, we got this money.
You're giving us $25 million. We're putting your name on the building.
Yeah, you own the building, basically.
This is yours now. This is now your school.
For $25 million, he pretty much does own the building.
I know. But he was donating it. It wasn't like he was trying to
No, and I got that, but yeah. But still.
So, sidetrack. Back up real quick. Thanks, Lance, by the way, for this. West Virginia governor signed bill to give the teachers in West Virginia a pay raise by 5%.
Oh, well, good for them.
So they taxed their people to pay the teachers another 5%. Isn't that great?
Can I wonder if I can strike and get a...
No, this is a right-to-work state. Too bad for you.
This is true.
Yeah. West Virginia's supposed to be, too.
And most states are.
That's funny.
It is funny. No, it's not funny.
But anyway, so here's the thing. They were calling him, what is it, saying that he's an egomaniac, that he has these ego problems, that why is he getting his name on the building and all this other junk.
They're almost equating it to Trump.
Right.
In a loose kind of a way.
It's like this
billionaire
Trumpian
man has
got to put his name on everything. No, he didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
They said at the school board, they voted. Yeah. The school board voted to put his name on there.
Somebody in the school board was like, "Hey, this guy just gave us $25 million. Is there something we could? How do we show our appreciation?" And someone said, "Let's name the building."
That means your teachers and your school in that high school, you are going to have the best paid teachers, most likely.
State of the art equipment.
You're going to have the state of the art equipment, best computers, best gymnasiums, best everything
for at least the next. Let's comfortably say 5 to 10 years. Yeah, 5 to 10 years. That school is going to be probably the top. In the state.
In the next 5 years.
Yeah.
It'll be like the top school. And it's all thanks to this one guy who decided to go out, make billions of dollars, and then donate $25 million of it.
And you want to turn around and complain? Again, just like
I wouldn't be surprised if he recanted it just because of that.
I was going to say, if you guys want to complain about it,
he can take his money back.
I'm willing to take the $25 million, just like the $6,000 a year extra. I'll take the $25 million.
Mr. Schwartzman, I'll take $1 million and I'll name my house after you.
I will name his house after you too.
Yeah, exactly.
give me the $25 million. I'll name his house after you too.
I was saying $1 million. I'll go with the $1 million. And
this
will be the Schwartzman house.
At this point, I take gas money. I take $20.
Right? Just $20 is $20.
$20 is $20.
Oh goodness gracious! Oh, And here's one last one, guys. So we've talked about finances. We've talked about teachers wanting pay. And now the crux of the problem with our schools, safety.
Safety. It is
safety.
And this is unfortunately in light of the Parkland shooting and everything, the way that went down. Clearly, we can all agree. I think that school safety is top right now. We need to. You guys, we need.
Yes, we would think about renaming the program.
It would be the Defenders of American Exceptionalism and Mr. Schwartzman program. That's exactly what we would call ourselves.
Mr. Schwartzman's Defenders of American Exceptionalism.
There you go. That does have a better ring to it. Yeah. 25 mil.
That's it.
But anyway, thank you, Brad. Thank you. That's
off topic.
Thank you for jingling those keys. I appreciate it. But yeah. So again, going back to Parkland, like the biggest thing is clearly school safety. It's one of the biggest things everybody's talking about. Mm-hmm. One of the things that people have thrown around is arming teachers, and it's a very controversial thing because a lot of people, and I'm not going to bring up the arguments that the
left,
well, not just the left, but the uninformed, the ignorant, the dumb people,
ill-advised,
whatever you want to call them, the retards, the morons, that's
really not a good thing to do.
Whatever, the idiots who just want to argue. Okay, we're not bringing up those arguments. Okay, we're not going to do that stupid thing.
We've done that,
but it's still controversial. You still have to kind of go, how do you do it?
I want to. You got that, but
mm-hmm.
I want to say this.
Mm-hmm.
This next story is about Kansas.
It is,
and in Kansas, it is legal for teachers who are educated and do have concealed
mm-hmm.
carry to carry at schools.
Yep.
Now, on that premise, here's the headline.
Kansas legislation proposes making schools liable if they won't allow armed teachers.
Now, here's the thing. I read that and I said, wait, that's taking it too far.
Yeah, and I did the same.
Now, I read the article. You know what they're actually doing?
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to fight back on insurance companies that won't fund schools that allow teachers to carry.
It's insane. So it's just as bad.
They won't insure the teachers or the schools if the schools allow those teachers to carry. So this law, when it puts into place, it not only stops that from happening, mm-hmm. where it makes it illegal for the insurance companies to say no because you have armed people on campus that happen to be teachers. We're not going to insure you. No, that stops that, and it also says, oh, and by the way, if you as a school decide to force your teachers not to be able to be armed, we're holding you liable if something does happen when it happens.
Mm-mm. It's just, again, this is one of those things that goes back to the free range thing.
Right.
It's a common sense thing. It's a common sense policy. It's something that
mm-hmm.
school security, regardless of how you do it, should be top priority. And I am just as okay with having a teacher having a concealed carry in the class as I am having a security guard stand out front. Actually, even more so. Because at least the parent, or excuse me, at least the teacher with the students, that group of students in that room is protected.
Is safe.
Whereas the security guard is still safe. He could be at the other end.
And
or he could be detained, or somebody can take him out first.
Or he can decide to just sit outside of the building and not do anything for the entire 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, but that would never happen. That would never happen.
And then 4 of his buddies show up and they didn't do anything.
Yeah, but that would never happen. I mean, that sounds horrible. I mean, who would do such a thing?
I don't know. I'm not gonna name.
We're not
names.
here to point fingers or name names. I don't think that. I think you're just making stuff up. That's
Parkland.
You need to quit dabbling in the world of hyperbole and let's get back to reality.
I'm just saying.
But it's the case. Like I said, and I'm all about if you don't want to. If you don't feel comfortable, or if your schools don't do it, if the school board doesn't do it, all right, fine.
Right.
But
that's not a big deal.
How is it that we are, and this is in everything, I'm constantly asked this, why is it that we are constantly being punished for doing what ends up being the right thing?
Right.
You know, we're trying to take care of our kids, or we're trying to look out for ourselves, or we're trying to do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we get penalized for it because we're supposed to wait for the government to do it for us.
Right.
But then the government either doesn't do it or does it half-assed.
Yeah, and when it does it, but does it half, it doesn't do it.
Well, exactly. Halving it is not, it
doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It doesn't count if you're not doing it all the way.
It's like I don't see how that.
What's the point at that? And
how's that gonna work?
But we have to do something. We have to do something.
We've got to do something. So, Representative Blake Carpenter, a Republican who helped write the bill, he pointed out that the House Insurance Committee he pointed out to the House Insurance Committee that in many cases it could take precious minutes for police to arrive in the case of imminent attack, and in smaller districts which school resource officers aren't hired for and are lacking funding, the bill would allow for the next best thing, quote unquote, next best thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first responder is you, by the way.
Yeah.
You are the first responder.
I didn't know that. What?
Yeah.
Who's the first responder?
You.
Wow.
You.
Huh.
Hey, person that's in the middle of it, you are the first responder, not the cops. The cops are the second and third.
Yeah.
Just think about how much time it takes them to get to you.
The cops are supposed to be there to clean up the mess when they get there. That's what I was always taught. Your job is supposed to, if somebody breaks into your house, the cops are not to come to stop the guy and capture him.
Mm-hmm.
The cops are there to
clean up the mess.
Help put handcuffs on him and help clean up the blood as you have shot him in the leg or whatever, and he's laying
Always
there.
shoot to kill, never to maim.
Yeah, well, I just point and shoot, and whatever happens, happens.
A couple times.
Yeah, double tap. Always double tap.
Representative Blake Carpenter, added that it is not if our kids will be killed. It is when will they be killed, and what are we doing to prevent it?
Right now, not a whole hell of a lot.
Not a lot.
Not a lot. And then we complain about it. That's the other kicker.
Yeah.
It's literally I'm going to sit here and complain about having gained a boatload of weight as I cram a 12-pack of Krispy Kreme donuts down my gullet.
You say that, but the Democratic Representative Brett Parker, also an Overland Park school teacher who opposes the bill, stated, "The further we go down this rabbit hole, the more chance there is for even more obnoxious legislation moving forward." You know what? The further we go down this progressive rabbit hole,
you're absolutely
the more
right.
chance there is for even more obnoxious
legislation moving forward.
You
Absolutely.
are definitely correct.
Absolutely. I cannot believe I fully agree with 100%.
Yeah, as long as you put in that word progressive.
Yes. I don't understand why is this such a big deal. Nobody is forcing people to not have guns or to carry guns who don't want to.
Yes.
And nobody is saying that it shouldn't be if you want to carry a gun, you should be allowed to.
Yes, you should.
And I've had this conversation before. I feel that, schools should be allowed, teachers should be allowed. If you're concealed carry, if you've passed all those classes, all that jazz, you should be allowed to conceal carry in your classroom. And it should be one of those situations where it is known to the principal and the principal alone. And there's obviously and there's a testing done. There's a thing, that the school board verifies.
Even training
and all that. But other than that, the teacher next to him has no idea.
Right.
The janitor has no idea. Nobody knows who the other person is that's got the gun. Then that way,
exactly.
The people who aren't comfortable around it will never know until they get their butt saved
by some guy with a gun.
Yes.
Who happens to be sitting next to them and has been for the past 10 years.
Exactly. And if it goes on for 20, 30 years and, I didn't know that Mr. Jenkins had a gun on him the entire time, blah, 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 blah,
you weren't supposed to know, dummy.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. That's why it's called concealed.
It's concealed and carry. That's the point.
That's the
Just
point.
Letting you know there.
Ta-da.
That's the point.
So anyway, schools.
Safety.
I think the point of all this is homeschool your kids.
Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, you're listening to Defenders of American Exceptionalism on the Lanterns Radio Network. We'll be right back. Do not go anywhere.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
And welcome back. You're listening to Defenders of American Exceptionalism on the Lanterns Radio Network. Oh, happy Easter.
Happy April Fools.
Happy April Fools. I feel like if anybody should have been prepared for an April Fool's show, it should have been us, and I completely dropped the ball.
It's not actually April Fools yet. And
no, I guess that's true.
I don't actually celebrate it.
I don't either.
I mean, we could have done an entire setup of stories that just sucked.
Well, I was thinking of not just suck, but we could have went like...
We could have gone fake story night.
I was getting ready to say, now that I think about it, straight up fake story night would have been funny.
If we'd have gone fake story night, there's at least one person out there that would have believed what we were saying.
Oh, I know.
And that would have taken its toll on us. And
this is true.
Good. That's not good. I'm not talking about the people that are responding to us, that are talking to us. I'm not talking to people
the real listeners, the good people.
The real listeners. I'm talking to people that just sparsely hit in for like 2 seconds and hear like a snippet and then drop out.
It'll be the guy.
Like, oh my gosh. They're like...
The guy, it'd be like the guy that was having a
they're gonna think we're like Alex Jones or something if we do that.
Exactly. It'd be like the people that I was talking to. There was a guy that on our page today who
was there.
I had put up a picture.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, and he's trying to argue about and I explained it very clearly. I'm like, it's about hypocritical, ironic. Irony, not anything else. Is she has a full right to say what she wants to say, blah blah. I'm just pointing out and it was this long diatribe of something else, and I'm just like, fine, whatever, I'm done. I can't. And there's people like that who will turn around who just want to argue for the sake of arguing. That's all. That's all. And yes. I personally don't have time for it.
Well, that's the point of what he does. Is that guy specifically that you're pointing out? All he wanted to do was argue, and he just wanted to argue to a point to where it was so insignificant on everything I see. It's so crazy that you just had to fall out anyway.
Oh, I know.
Or you had to say something or type something.
Yeah, how dare I?
That would be crazy to speak back at.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. Wendy says we should have done fake stories.
Yeah, I will admit, part of me thought it would be funny because we could go to something like, was it the what's that site, the Babylon
B?
Babylon B.
That's a
hilarious
Christian satire. I love that.
Hilarious. We could have ran with that sucker. There was a whole bunch of them. I thought it would have been good. We could have done Florida Man stories.
Oh, but those aren't fake.
No, but it still would have been. This is true. They sound fake. Some of them do. You have to admit.
You know what some fake story is? Fake news. Fake news.
Let's
Here is some fake.
I feel you have a specific story in mind.
Here is some actual fake news, and you won't believe who actually went out and said, "No, this is fake." From the Washington Post.
Ooh.
March for Our Lives. It was not mostly young people.
Shut up. What?
Yeah.
What? Now that is fake news. How dare you?
I'm just going to read this straight because we might as well read through a little bit. I know we've been summarizing a bunch of the stories tonight, and we haven't been actually reading through it, which is fine. Actually,
yeah, this one we're going to
read through. So, in the days before and after, more than 2 million Americans participated in the March for Our Lives. The gun violence conversation has focused on the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas survivors and their, quote, student movement, end quotes. The school shooting in Parkland, Florida, and the passions of the teenage survivors have become a catalyst for the current movement. With the help of some well-resourced benefactors, that's saying it lightly, including Oprah Winfrey and George Clooney, the survivors organized an extraordinary rally in D.C. and sister marches around the country in a mere 6 weeks.
However, the young faces of the advocates have created an assumption that youth and students are the core of the movement. Research, however, says something completely different. That those who participated in the March for Our Lives, it's a little more complicated and a little less packaged for prime time. As part of the research on the American resistance, there have been working on the research team. There's been done on a large scale protest events in Washington since President Trump's inauguration. Basically going through the crowd, sampling every fifth person at designated increments. Within a staging area, they were able to gather approximately a random sample of about 1,745 people.
Which is really odd with the 2 million. They only got 17,000.
It is. You would,
out of every 5.
But think about it. Like, even me, like, this is this kind of that little, hey, you know, do you want to... They do it everything, like even down to like the apps on your phone. Hey, do you want to rate us? No, not really.
No.
So I guess if you think about it from that angle, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That's what I would do anyway.
Like other resistance protesters and like previous gun control marches, the March for Our Lives was mostly women.
Shocker.
Whereas the 2017 Women's March was 85% women, the March for Our Lives was 70% women. Furthermore, the participants were highly educated. 72% had a BA or higher.
So what you're saying is they're corrupted because they got
libs.
Yeah, they're basically
crazy. They're crazy.
They've been indoctrinated by higher
libs.
education.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Contrary to what's been reported in many media accounts, the DC March for Our Lives crowd was not primarily made up of teenagers, but only about 10% of these participants were under the age of 18. The average age of the adults in the crowd were just under 49 years old, which is older than the participants in other marches that they've surveyed, but similar to the age of the average participants of the Million Moms March in 2000. So basically, it's the Million Moms March again.
Basically.
With a bunch of teenagers in the front row.
Yeah, basically about 27% of the participants for the March for Our Lives had never protested before, and this group was less politically engaged in general. Only about a third of them had been contacted an elected official in the past year, while about 3/4 of the more seasoned protesters had. That's amazing. That only 12% of the people were new to protesting. Had been motivated. That reported they were motivated to join the march because of the anti-gun issues.
Yes,
compared to the 60 that of the participants that were experienced,
right.
which is to me, just to say right there, an experienced protester.
What the heck is that?
That's somebody who has way too much time on their hands.
Right. Instead, new protesters reported being motivated by issues of peace and Trump. That's 56% and 42% respectively.
A March for Our Lives, anti-gun,
anti-Trump rally. It was an
pro-life.
anti-Trump rally.
Yeah, but it was not actually pro-life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
not pro. It was not
anti-gun.
It was anti-gun. Yes.
Yeah,
but it wasn't pro-life.
It was not pro-life.
If it was actually pro-life, they would be standing against
Planned Parenthood, which, ironically enough, pretty much supported and helped fund a majority of this whole deal. Coinky dink. Isn't that awesome?
That's funny how that works.
It is.
So March for Our Lives protesters were also more likely to identify as ideologically moderate. About 16%,
I'm sorry.
About 16% did so, higher than any other protest in the since the inauguration. But unsurprisingly, it was still a very liberal crowd. 79% identified as left-leaning, and 89% reported to have voted for Hillary.
Of course
Clinton.
they did. Of course they did. I mean, why would you? So a march for a student grassroots march for their lives and for safety was not actually held by students. It was not grassroots. Was not actually for saving lives. Was anti-gun and yet secured by men with guns. Does that pretty much sum it up, I think? I think that covers it.
I think so.
I think that covers it. We have a word for that. It's called irony or hypocrisy. You take your pick. I don't. And again, I keep coming back to the experienced protester thing. That drives me. That's insane. It's like, what do you do for a living? Well, I'm an experienced protester.
Wait.
Do you put that on your resume?
Experienced protester.
Yeah.
What does that?
This is my third tour.
This is my third. I've been doing this for 5 years.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I've been protesting for 5 years.
I was gonna say when I'm in the service, you have deployments.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you're considered seasoned and a veteran for stuff after
a certain amount of time.
After you've done a couple of them, you do 2 or 3. You've done 2 or 3 tours. I've done 2 or 3 tours in Iraq. Blah blah blah.
I've done 2 or 3 tours.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What are you gonna say? I've done 4 or 5 protests. Mm-hmm. All of them are against Trump. Mm-hmm. Right?
And the March for Our Lives. Mm-hmm.
I was only there because they had good cookies. I'm so tired of it. It hurts my head.
Does it?
It does. Well, it does, because like nobody wants to talk and actually fix the problem. They just want to yell. They want to complain. They want to make a scene. And actually, you know what? A lot of people are hoping that they can end up like that David Hogg kid. Yeah. Or if they can just be the one selected to suddenly rise through the ranks to become famous.
Because of no reason whatsoever.
Other than to be famous.
Other than to be that you're getting your 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's what
Speaking
it is.
Of which,
it's about fame.
Your 15 minutes is up, bro.
Yeah, my 15 minutes is up.
I'm talking about David Hogg.
Oh, his 15 minutes was up.
I
15
know.
minutes before the shooting started.
I know.
Douche. Anyway, you're listening to Defenders of American Exceptionalism. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on a Saturday night. Again, there's a lot that could be done, especially on
Saturday.
Well, not just that, but Easter weekend. Families in town, hopefully.
There's a lot of prepping you could do for
Ham.
April Fool's Day.
All right, that I'm sure. You know what? That's something I want. If anybody knows anything going on, yeah, send us your plans for April Fools.
Oh, goodness.
You got any gags or anything you're going to do? Let us know.
That's at DOAEshow@gmail.com.
Yes. You can also drop us a line at Facebook at DOAE Show, Twitter at DOAE Show, Patreon.com/DOAE Show. Help us keep the lights on. Get some swag.
Also YouTube.
We are on YouTube at DOAE Show.
Mm-hmm.
iHeartRadio. Anything else you can find a place. Anything like that.
Like us. Share us. Comment. Tell your friends.
Yes, do that indeed. We will see y'all Wednesday, 9 o'clock. See ya. Bye-bye. Mm-hmm. I love me some taters.